This is the Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Aaron Mate.
Well, an Occupy Wall Street activist has been found guilty of assaulting a New York City police officer, but critics say the trial should have been about the police assaulting her. Cecily McMillan was arrested in March 2012 as protesters tried to reoccupy Zuccotti Park, 6 months after Occupy began. McMillan was convicted of deliberately striking Officer Grantley Bovell with her elbow, leaving him with a black eye. McMillan says she swung her arm instinctively after being grabbed in the right breast from behind. To support this claim, defense lawyers showed photos of bruising to her chest during trial. In addition to her injuries, McMillan says she went into a seizure as officers pinned her down. She was later treated for post-traumatic stress disorder.
But prosecutors rejected Cecily McMillan's claims and suggested she may have even caused the bruises to her body herself. After a 4-week trial, the jury took just 3 hours Monday to deliver a verdict. The judge in the case rejected defense pleas to allow her release on bail. As outraged supporters chanted shame, McMillan was placed in handcuffs and taken to Rikers Island. She'll remain there until sentencing in 2 weeks, when she faces up to 7 years in prison. In a moment, we'll be joined by her attorney and a friend. But first, I want to turn back to our interview that we did in 2012 with Cecily McMillan when she joined us on Democracy Now! Just 6 days after her arrest. This is part of that interview. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Cecily, you limped in here. You're very bruised. You have a bruise over your left eye, and I can see with your the scoop neck of your T-shirt, you are scratched, and it is black and blue. It is
a handprint.
The shape of a hand, black and blue, the shape of a hand.
Yeah.
That is above your right breast. And then your arms. Your arms are black and blue around both elbows. You've got finger marks of black and blue on both arms. And you're clearly in a lot of pain on your back, and we can't show those bruises. Now, your ribs, what happened?
My ribs are really bruised.
What happened to you? What you went out on Saturday, 6-month anniversary of Occupy, with hundreds of other people to Zuccotti, and what took place?
Like I said, I haven't seen any of the videos yet. I ended a 40-something hours stay in jail and ended up with all these bruises. I mean, I have an open case, so I can't talk more about it, and I'm sure you can tell that it would be difficult for me to remember some things, but I have these.
For more on Cecily McMillan's case, we're joined by 2 guests. Martin Stoller is a criminal defense attorney who served as co-counsel during the trial, and Lucy Parks is the field coordinator for the Justice for Cecily support team. We welcome you both. Martin Stoller, what happened in this trial? She now has been convicted.
Well, she is convicted and is awaiting sentencing. The maximum sentence that she faces is a 2 to 7 year term in state prison. It is conceivable that the judge could impose probation as well. But we are really concerned about an appeal in this case. The nature of the trial was such that the judge excluded some substantial evidence that was favorable to Cecily in ruling, for example, that several of our character witnesses were cumulative, that we couldn't present different perspectives from Occupy Wall Street and their vision of who Cecily was. The judge prohibited us from questioning the police officer who was assaulted about the lightness of the injury, because later that night, a couple hours after he was given the black eye that led to this conviction, he was banging some Occupy Wall Street protesters' heads on the stairs of a bus, a guy who was in handcuffs. The judge wouldn't let us ask about that. So on balance, you know, the fact that this prosecution went forward is really what's of concern. This officer got a black eye, a bit of a mouse, and was back on duty a week later, no particular difficulty. Cecily, regardless of what you think about whether she slugged the cop or not, was severely beaten and was put into a seizure, or what appeared to be a seizure, with some serious physical injuries and a total lack of memory about what happened to her. She was then dragged to a hospital where she was told that she was going to be released. So she said, all right, I want to go see my own doctor. And then subsequently, she was told, you're being charged with assaulting this police officer. She was completely shocked. She had absolutely no idea what she had been arrested for and what she had done or what she had been accused of doing. So the claim that Cecily somehow intentionally assaulted the police officer was a bit ridiculous. This is a young woman who is known as a nonviolent activist. In fact, on this particular night, she wasn't even out protesting. She was out celebrating St. Patrick's Day and only wound up in Zuccotti Park to meet somebody so they could continue going drinking at the Irish pubs that are down by the Wall Street area. She was caught up in the police department's manufactured need to sweep Zuccotti Park clear on the 6-month anniversary of the occupation of